The Downtown Rams podcast is brought to you by Rams On Demand, Seat Giant, Vibe 305, and RWO, Rams World Order. Now enjoy the show.
Down the middle, to the end zone, caught by Brandon Cooks. Shoot your arrows. It picks. Nickel Roby Coleman throws. End zone caught, touchdown, Tyler Higbee. Cooper Kupp plucks it out of the air and gives the Rams the lead. LaMarcus Joyner returns to the lineup with an interception in London. 35-30. Robert Woods, first down 20. 10-5. Touchdown. LA. No, it's Goff who keeps it. And Goff goes crashing into the end zone. Aaron Donald almost beat the football there and comes away with his third sack of the afternoon. Met immediately in sack. Corey Littleton, have yourself a day. And he gets gobbled up. Savage has to eat it as Michael Brockers picks up the sack. He's decked by Ebukam. Picked off. Marcus Peters strutting his stuff. Mark Barron the last 4 weeks has been a Pro Bowler. He picked off Dak Prescott into Seattle territory, into the clear. 30, 20, Farrell Cooper 10. Farrell Cooper at the goal line. Cousins sacked. Ndamukong Suh. Of all the guys, it's the rookie John Franklin Myers who knocks it out of Cousins' right hand. Todd Gurley, 20, 10, Gurley for MVP. Touchdown LA!
Welcome back, guys, to another Downtown Rams podcast. We're in episode 136, and this is the big episode because this is going to be a breakdown, a preview of what is considered by many to be the best game of the year, the biggest game of the year, and possibly a preview of the Super Bowl, the Rams and Chiefs. Now, this game starts, first off, these two teams were supposed to be playing in another country, and now, with that out the window due to field conditions, this now becomes a Rams home game. Now, this was a Rams home game anyway, and the Rams decided to defer and make this an international game, and they've done that over the years with London. They'll be doing that with China. So this is it's not anything new, but the Rams definitely are going to be happy about getting this home game. Rams are in for quite a game. When you look at both teams, both 9-1, Kansas City has the highest point differential in the league. The Rams have the third highest point differential in the league. And when you look at both teams, what they're able to do as far as, on the offensive side of the ball, I think it's going to be very similar to the Rams-Vikings game we saw on Thursday Night Football. I think it's going to be more so that and maybe dial that up a notch. I think when you look at, the future of the league, many, including myself, would say, Carson Wentz is right up there, but I don't think people gave Jared Goff enough credit. And, I'm recording this on a Sunday night, and Carson Wentz threw 3 interceptions against the Saints. It's been kind of downhill for the Eagles this year. They're 4-6, and Jared Goff is leading a 9-1 team. When you look at it, I think people are way too, I guess it's kind of hard to say it, but it just seems as though, because Goff started 0-7 in his career, his rookie year in a bad situation. And, even though he wasn't my guy in the draft, and there's been a lot of this going on Twitter, I still liked him. And even though he went 0-7, I still had the confidence in him that he would turn it around. But I think it's funny because going back and looking to one of the articles I wrote on Downtown Rams, I said the Rams should consider drafting Patrick Mahomes in the second round. Now, this was right around the time he threw 8 touchdowns in his Texas Tech game against Baker Mayfield and the Oklahoma Sooners. And he threw 8 touchdowns. He had an unbelievable game, and no one talked about it. So I felt, this guy was kind of flying under the radar. I went and watched his film. I was very impressed. And so I thought to myself, I'm like, look, the Redskins, they got the number 1 overall pick. They traded up just like the Rams, to the Rams actually, for RG3. In that same draft, they drafted Kirk Cousins. I mean, that's your insurance. So I felt as though, maybe the Rams should consider getting insurance for Goff, in just in case. And, man, Patrick Mahomes is not really insurance. I mean, he would have made a run at that quarterback position. It would have been crazy to have those two go at it. But, that's neither here nor there. The point is, Jared Goff, 0-7 to start his career. Since then, 11-5 last year, 9-1 this year. When you put that together, Jared Goff is 20-6 with 0-1 in the postseason, which I'm sure that'll change this year. So he's 20-6 in the regular season, 20-7 altogether since the 0-7 start. That's impressive, and a lot of that has to do with Sean McVay. A lot of that has to do with what's around him. But I don't know if you can take away, I don't know if you can give this guy enough credit because, I mean, he's still making some unbelievable throws. He's really made a bunch of crazy plays this year where he really had to fit it into a tight window, or he had to look off the safety or make his third read and then finds the man and he gets in the end zone for a touchdown or a crucial third down. And, you're throwing that from the right hash mark, you're throwing that tough out, that out route to get that third and however many yards and get that first down. Those aren't easy throws. I mean, the throws against the grain, the throws, from the opposite hash mark, the throws when you're looking to your first, second, and third read. I mean, granted, it's been a remarkable performance for the offensive line, but again, I just don't know if Jared Goff is getting enough credit for what he's been able to do. And there are still times, I mean, he's going to throw those ducks where you're like, what even was that? He's going to throw off his back foot and make you want to rip your hair out. And sometimes he's going to look oblivious in the pocket and get smacked. But, more often than not, Jared Goff this year, and I don't see why this is really an argument. Jared Goff is the top 5 quarterback this year. I mean, it's not even an argument. He is better this year than Aaron Rodgers. He's better this year than Tom Brady. He's better this year than pretty much every quarterback in the league not named Drew Brees and Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I think those are the 3 best this season, not including Andrew Luck. I think he's right up there as well. Andrew Luck might actually be higher than Goff, but, I mean, he's putting on a clinic in Indianapolis. But my point is, I mean, those are the 4 guys. Then you have Ben Roethlisberger, who's played well. Kirk Cousins. I think, Mitch Trubisky doesn't get enough credit. But Jared Goff is up there. So I don't know why, we constantly have to go with he's not, he's a system guy. I need to see, what he does when the pressure's on. See, I don't agree with that. I don't believe he's a system guy. I don't believe in that idea at all. I mean, there are people that still think that Kurt Warner was the system guy with the greatest show on turf. I mean, that's asinine because he proved himself when he went to Arizona. Oh, well, he had Larry Fitzgerald, Steve Breston, and Anquan Boldin. Okay. He proved himself in Arizona towards the end of his career. And he looked solid with the Giants until he got hurt, and then they actually benched him for Eli Manning. But my ultimate point here is that Jared Goff isn't getting enough credit. I keep, I've had these conversations, whether it be on, social media or be out in person, and people just, when you mention Jared Goff, it's, oh yeah, he's good too. Or, yeah, he's really turned it around. I would almost put him in the top 8, top 10. And I'm like, what do you mean almost? Like, I get he's got the weapons, because, I mean, he has Brandon Cooks, he has Todd Gurley, he has Robert Woods. Cooper Kupp is now out for the year, but he had him. He's got guys. But we're not going to take that away from Jared Goff. People don't take it away from Tom Brady that he had the greatest tight end of all time. He gets hurt all the time, but he has the greatest tight end of all time. He had one of the greatest receiver performances in the history of the game on his team with Randy Moss. So, I mean, he's probably second all time for receiver. people don't ever hold that against Tom Brady. And people don't really ever hold, the fact that in Jared Goff, people always hold it against Jared Goff, but it's like, it's selective. It's extremely selective. I mean, I would make the argument Ben Roethlisberger had better weapons for years. I mean, you talk about Antonio Brown, Mike Wallace, Hines Ward, Emmanuel Sanders, Juju Smith-Schuster, Heath Miller, and then, the running backs, Le'Veon Bell, Jerome Bettis, Willie Parker, now James Conner. I mean, he's had weapons. He's had an offensive line. Guys are going to have, talent around them. Patrick Mahomes, are you going to take anything away from him? The fact he is Kareem Hunt and Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins and Travis Kelce? I mean, no, because when you watch the film, when you watch this guy play, you see he is making plays all over the field, and he is throwing guys open. He's throwing into tight windows. He's creating opportunities that otherwise aren't there. Just because he has big names in, this offense does not mean he's being carried per se. Another example of this, Matt Ryan, obviously, I would say he doesn't get enough credit either. I mean, I don't think Mohamed Sanu is better than any receiver on the Rams. I don't. I mean, he might be better. He's better than, Josh Reynolds, guys like that. But he's not better than the big three. And I mean, really, he's had Julio Jones, and that's great. Andy Dalton's had A.J. Green. That's great. But, are we going to take away, what? I guess that's just my thing. And I didn't want to start off like this, but, I kind of had to because it's getting a little ridiculous. So no matter what Jared Goff does this Monday night, it's still going to be he's not as good as this guy. He's not as good as this guy. He's not, like, the game we saw against Minnesota should have been enough for you to be like, wow, okay, he's elite, and that's the thing. And if you're going to give a pass to Carson Wentz, as much as I love him, why doesn't Jared Goff get a pass? So he has, he hasn't had really a terrible game this year. Carson Wentz just threw for 3 interceptions. The first thing I hear is, well, he's coming off his ACL tear. No, don't give me that. Don't give me that. The Eagles are a mess. And there's something wrong. It's past Carson Wentz. And I'm not even hating on Carson Wentz. But it's not just Carson Wentz. But it's also, you're not going to get this free pass because he had an injury that he came back from 4 or 5 weeks ago. That's not how this goes. So, I just think when you evaluate a player, as opposed to another player, I think you have to consider what's around them if the other guy doesn't have as much. Like, to me, I think Andrew Luck is missing a legit big body number 1 receiver next to T.Y. Hilton. But when you look at his body of work, I mean, he's got guys all over the place now that are succeeding, and a lot of it has to do because of him, because, I mean, a lot of these other guys are kind of jags. But I think, you could make the argument for another guy. However, I wouldn't say Andrew Luck has no weapons or help. He now has a good offensive line, which is allowing him more opportunities in the pocket. He's got a plethora of running backs that I really like. Marlon Mack, the guy I really liked the most out of this draft, well, that they got anyway, Naeem Hines, and then the guy that got from Ole Miss. So, they have guys there, and then their tight ends. Mo Alley Cox is their 4th guy, and I mean, he's interesting. He's a former Baylor basketball player, I believe. No, it was VCU, actually, because Rico Gathers the Baylor basketball player. VCU, but he's a former VCU basketball player, and, he's somebody to keep an eye on because he's already making some interesting plays, and he's still learning how to play the game. But they also have Eric Ebron, who had 3 touchdowns last week. They have Jack Doyle, who's one of the better tight ends in the league, and is the number 1 blocking tight end per Pro Football Focus. And then they have Eric Swope, another former basketball player from Miami, who they had. So, Luck has weapons, Goff has weapons. I think the only time you really consider the fact that, a guy has weapons is when the other guy doesn't. I would use that more towards the person, not to take away. That's the thing. I think we take too much away from somebody because of what they have, and we don't credit the person that's doing, we don't credit the other guy that's doing it with less. It's always black or white. We can never just, do a little bit of both. Because, right now, Kirk Cousins is throwing to one of the best receivers in football in Adam Thielen. Stephon Diggs is there. Kyle Rudolph. They got Dalvin Cook back. Latavius Murray isn't half bad himself. And then, Laquan Treadwell's not a horrible 3. So he's got weapons as well. But are you going to say that, because he's got, those guys, he's not that great? He's still having a good year too. So I don't know. That's just my opening thoughts there, opening rant to kick this thing off. I know some of you will really agree with it and really appreciate it. I know some might have a little bit of a kickback, and, that's the thing. If you do, if you have any issue with what I say, or if you want to have further discussion, hit me up on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. I would love to get more discussion about my podcast, because normally, when you guys message me, it's all just how great it is and how much you enjoyed it. And that's awesome. I love every single message I get. But what I would love even more is, and this might be asking too much, but if like, say you're on Twitter a lot. I'm on Twitter a lot. So if you notice something cool that I said and you want to, discuss it in detail, why don't we start talking about it on Twitter and make it a thing? So, that's just an open invitation. It's an open forum, basically, Twitter. So you can definitely start something on there. I'm always open to ideas and everything. And, I think it's fun when you guys bring up different ideas. Because I know someone brought up Dante Fowler earlier in the season, and they ended up trading for him. So that's it for that portion. But now we'll go on to the actual Rams-Chiefs preview. Or before we do that, be sure to subscribe and review on iTunes. It helps me out, and I would really appreciate it. But now the Rams-Chiefs game. Interesting beforehand, because I am recording this on a Sunday night, so I do get kind of all the information before I do my preview, and I will talk a little bit about today's games later on in the show if you guys are interested. It'll be a decently long podcast. I've been kind of out of the game for a little bit, because I know, we record Monday, and then, it's just been a really not a great week. So anyway, according to ESPN's report, Clete Blakeman is going to be the head official for this game. But the thing that really intrigues me about this is normally you don't see this until the playoffs, but the NFL actually is assigning him the highest ranking referees to be on his staff for this game. So they're treating this like a playoff game, and I love it. Because, the fact of the matter is this. If you have your game of the year, you don't want a Fail Mary to decide it. You don't want what we saw in the Rams-Saints game to decide it, where, Johnny Hecker's clearly over the first down marker, and they, rule it that he was down, and then, whatever, they review it and still get it wrong. We don't want to see any of that. So I like that the NFL is about the accuracy. And then I also want to go a little bit into the move, because they moved from Mexico City, the Azteca Stadium, to the Coliseum, and it's a perfect move. I talked about it on Monday. I said it absolutely needed to happen. I just feel for the fans that spent a lot of money to go out there for that experience. It's not easy. It's not easy leaving the country. You need documents to even do that. But, the amount of money that was shelled out towards airlines, and the airlines are pocketing all that money and they're not really refunding anything, that kind of irks me. The NFL, I think, should do a better job of, refunding the fans, because you move the game. But at the same time, the biggest loser here is Azteca Stadium. If you saw the field conditions, all you got to say is, wow. This game was announced a year and a half ago. So they've had a year and a half to get ready for this game. You have NFL exposure. Now, I'm not saying this is the first time. I know the Patriots, I believe, played the Raiders out there. But anyway, this is possibly the game of the year that you had the opportunity and the luck of hosting. And you don't have the stadium prepared. And then you're going to put new sod in 6 days before the actual game. I mean, that's a joke. That shouldn't happen. You had a Shakira concert. Who books a Shakira concert? She is huge out there. So you have to keep that in mind. Who books a Shakira concert and a soccer game right before you have the NFL come out there? It just blows my mind. It was such a joke. The NFL should really consider, and I mean, I'm not trying to take enormous shots, but I feel like the NFL should really consider, nullifying their agreements to play out there, because, that was a joke, and that cost a lot of money for fans. And quite honestly, I do think that Azteca Stadium should be punished for that. I think they should revoke the rights. I think they should take it a step further, and they should just not play out there. I think they should just keep it in London. I don't see the point of playing it in Mexico City anyway, but if they can't even get the field conditions down, I mean, that's one of the things that people complain about, in London. But it's like Wembley and Twickenham, I mean, they were fine. I had no issue with Wembley and Twickenham. No issue whatsoever. I actually don't mind when the Rams play there, despite everyone else complaining. Because I know we have some great UK Rams supporters. And, I like the idea of London itself. I'd love to go out there someday and maybe go to a game. But, the point here is that I think the NFL needs to be steeper on this, because this was huge. Steve Weish of NFL Network reported this giant story where, they didn't even have tickets printed. So they had to literally have all the tickets virtually. There was an ice storm in Colorado, so the Rams were actually delayed in Colorado. They were training in Colorado because to do the elevation training, because obviously everyone knows Colorado's elevation, for Mexico City's elevation. It made sense. However, when it got canceled, now the Rams have to go back, but they stayed because here's the thing. The Rams are also dealing with the fires in their area. A lot of these players had to evacuate their homes. A lot of the families of the players had to evacuate their homes. So Sean McVay invited the players and the families out there to stay out there in Colorado. So, they'll be coming back, and a little bit delayed after that ice storm. But, there was a lot that went into this. It's because here's the thing. They had to amend the contract with USC, because the Rams have a contract with USC, an agreement to play in the Coliseum until 2020 when their stadium opens. But you have to keep in mind, USC earlier in the contract, it was pretty obvious that they didn't want Monday night football games due to the classes and everything. And I totally understand that. That is not far away from the USC campus. That's going to be loud and rowdy. But, here's the thing. They had to amend the contract. Demoff had some serious work to do. They had a lot of legwork to get this thing in. And on short notice, this was pretty short. This came this week. So I do think the NFL needs to hold them to that. And I would suspend any bit of play out there for 5 years. And then, reevaluate. But I don't see why, Twickenham and Wembley, I would just stick with those. And playing in China seems asinine to me. But, playing preseason games almost seems asinine to me. But playing regular season games, I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. So I like exposure and all that. I like the international exposure. I think that's cool. But I think they should just stick to the UK. Simple as that. Anyway, moving on. What to watch for in this game? Well, there's a lot to watch for in this game. There is a lot to watch for in this game. Is Sammy Watkins going to play? That's my first question for you. He's doubtful to play against his former team. He is battled by a foot injury, the same foot. I mean, he's had screws put in that foot. he's had issues over the years, and that's one of his biggest concerns through different fans and whatnot. I don't know. Like, I think Watkins is going to play this game. I know he didn't practice Friday. I just can't imagine him missing this game. I mean, he was pretty... I don't know. He threw some shots at Goff. I just don't see him not playing this game. It's that simple. Our Twitter guy, King of the North, who's a huge Watkins fan. He's like a Watkins fan account. He will lose his mind if he doesn't play. So I would imagine Watkins will end up playing, and I think we'll get to see that. But it doesn't really matter if he plays or not. This team is still dangerous. I mean, this offense still has Tyreek Hill, who really isn't. I don't want to say unguardable, because I do think Mike Thomas is the perfect example of unguardable. But I'm going to say it. Tyreek Hill's unguardable. Who is going to cover him on the Rams? Troy Hill? Troy Hill he's not as fast as him. And Troy Hill's, he's all right, but Troy Hill's not really a starting corner on a Super Bowl team. And he knows that, and the Rams know that. He's playing because Talib's hurt. You're not going to put Marcus Peters. There's no way you're putting Marcus Peters on Tyreek Hill. So the Rams might have to do something that's a little different. They might have to throw out Nickel Roby-Coleman and have him shadow Tyreek Hill all game long. Maybe even LaMarcus Joyner. And have Marquis Christian out at free safety. I mean, they'll have to do something different. Because the guys they have right now just simply aren't fast enough to cover Tyreek Hill. And if I'm the Rams, I'm putting Nickel Roby-Coleman on him. Roby-Coleman has been their best corner to this point. Aqib Talib was awesome, but he got hurt early on. So definitely Roby-Coleman I would do. As far as Travis Kelce, I mean, you're probably going to see a lot of John Johnson on him. As far as Sammy Watkins, that would probably be Patrick Peterson. Not Patrick Peterson. Marcus Peters. And then, I think, the rest, DeMarcus Robinson, Chris Conley, Demetrius Harris. They're guys that can kill you by, the guys around them, being decoys, but they're not like unguardable guys. They're not like key guys. They're the X factors of the group, and I do think that the Rams need to watch out for that. There was a report that Sean McVay was stealing plays, adding wrinkles to the offense from Kansas City, which I like. You have to keep in mind, during the year, the NFL preparation from week to week is so strenuous. Sean McVay loves watching film, but Sean McVay's not going to watch Kansas City Chiefs film in week 3. He's not. So, now that the Rams are playing Kansas City, he had a chance to watch Kansas City Chiefs film. Obviously saw some things he liked, and he's going to take them. And I think this is going to help him and the offense get a little bit better. The Rams aren't going to get a lot better. I mean, they're already a top 5 offense in the league, no question. Probably top 3, and I would say top 2. But the thing here is that, Sean McVay is adding more to the play calling. Andy Reid is a genius in his own right. The Rams have the personnel to do this. And things just continue to get more and more creative for McVay. I mean, this is a guy that uses... he uses Gerald Everett in, jet sweep situations. I mean, they're using all different types of, concepts and such. I'm really looking forward to this game, though, and there's going to be a lot that's, going for that. But we talked about the Chiefs' weapons. Why don't we talk about the Rams' weapons? Robert Woods, on catchable passes, has a 95% catch rate. That's incredible. He has been Mr. Reliable for the Rams. He has been Bobby first down Woods, basically. And Brandon Cooks has also been huge for the Rams, and he's been kind of the deep threat, although they both really, Robert Woods' short and intermediate game He's really unguardable. He catches everything. He has unbelievable body control near the sideline, so you know that's the guy you can rely on. And he proved himself in the playoff game last year. So this is somebody that can be clutch for you. Jared Goff can rely on him. And without Cooper Kupp, I believe Jared Goff does end up leaning on him. You will see a lot of Cooks as well. Because I don't think the Chiefs can cover Brandon Cooks. I just don't. I don't think so. I don't really think the Chiefs can cover Robert Woods. So this could be a really high-scoring affair. And, I mean, that's pretty much what everyone expects. When you look at, losing somebody like Cooper Kupp, that's derailing. I mean, that just stinks. But it allows other guys to step up. It allows you to see more. And while that's not a great way to look at it, it's probably the only way to look at it. Because now Cooper Kupp is going to be gone for 9 months. He might not be ready for week 1. We'll see because it's later on in the year. So, with that being said, you talk about Cooks, you talk about Woods. Now, here comes Josh Reynolds filling in for Kupp. Reynolds is a former 4th-round pick. He has shown in limited opportunities this year that he can be effective. They also have Kadero Hodge. They have Pharaoh Cooper coming back from IR. They have Nick Williams, who was playing some serious playing time in Tennessee and then ended up getting cut. And they have their tight ends. And this is one thing I'm just going to say right now. I think Gerald Everett, if there was a game where Gerald Everett was going to break out, I think it's this one. I really expect Gerald Everett to have himself a game. Call it a hunch. But Gerald Everett over the weeks, more and more playing time. He's 4th by Pro Football Focus in the league for tight ends. I mean, he's starting to really, he's starting to turn into what the Rams thought he would be. He just needs more touches. It's hard. I mean, Cooks, Woods, Gurley, yeah, you're not going to get 10 catches, but Gerald Everett is the X factor in this game, but I imagine he ends up breaking out in this one. I just think, it's too obvious. Obviously, you're going to have, this could be similar to the 49ers Thursday Night Football game last year. You could definitely have the 2 receivers. Last year it was Watkins and Woods over 100. This year it could be, Cooks and Woods, and then have one of those guys have 2 touchdowns. But I think you could even have 3. Depending Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett last year had 4 games with over 40-yard catches. He had one in the game that I saw, both games that I saw, the Giants game, and he had one in the Redskins game. And the Redskins game was week 2, and the Rams really started to use him deep down the field. They flexed him out wide, and he just won the battle. Then towards the end of the year, he really, fell out of favor with the coaching staff. He must have been behind on the playbook. All that. But this year, he had the injury. Let's not forget, he had the shoulder injury. Puts him behind the 8 ball a little bit. It's allowed Tyler Higbee to, claim that starting job for the 2nd straight year. But I would watch out for Gerald. And Tyler Higbee, for that matter, I'd watch out for him too. He had a nice touchdown grab last week. He's also starting to turn it on. I mean, this is kind of put up or shut up time for Tyler Higbee, in year 3. So I definitely think, the Rams needs, more out of him, and maybe Johnny Munt plays. But, I think Higbee and Everett, they're in for some usage down the line. The Rams are going to need all hands on deck if they want to win this Super Bowl without Cooper Kupp. It's funny because the Chiefs actually, with tight ends, they haven't really defended them that well. The Chargers, 4 catches, 37 yards. Pittsburgh, 8 catches, 164 yards, a touchdown. 49ers, 6 catches, 86 yards. Denver, 5 catches, 74 yards. Jacksonville, 10 catches, 92 yards. New England, 3 catches, 97 yards. Cincinnati, they gave up a touchdown. Denver, 5 catches, 33 yards, and a touchdown. Cleveland, 4 catches, 53 yards. Arizona, 5 catches, 51 yards. Now, it's not a ton, but you have to keep in mind, as far as tight ends wise, I mean, those guys, Gerald Everett, Tyler Higbee, if they both get, combined 75 yards, that's considered a win for the tight end group. Because you'd have to imagine, the wide receivers are going to have, not a hard time, really doing anything against that secondary that has really been suspect. I think people are kind of, oh, well, they looked good against the Cardinals. Well, the Cardinals just lost to the Raiders. So, I don't really know what to tell you with that. Looking at the secondary, Eric Berry is likely out for this game, so it's going to be Eric Murray and Ron Parker, maybe Daniel Sorensen as well. Corners, Kendall Fuller, who they traded for in the Alex Smith deal. I think Kendall Fuller's good. I don't think he's great. I think he's solid. Steven Nelson's actually having a decent season, but I wouldn't put my money on him over Cooks or Woods. And then they have Orlando Scandrick, Travarius Ward, and Tremont Smith, the rookie. I don't know. I just have a hard time seeing this going, the defensive route. Now, I know this could be one of those scenarios where everyone's picking it to be an offensive juggernaut game, and then all of a sudden the defense comes and it ends up being 20-17. I'm not saying that's impossible, but I'm not saying it's likely, because this would be just too good to be true for that to even happen. As far as on the defensive side of the ball, the Rams really need to buckle down on that end. They gave up over 250 yards to Seattle on the ground, rushing, without Chris Carson. It was Rashad Penny who had his first career touchdown and 100-yard game, and Mike Davis, and Russell Wilson. But they can't allow that. Kareem Hunt will gash them. He is very talented. He's one of the better running backs in the league. He's the rushing champion of last year. I just don't. If the Rams can't stop the run, the Chiefs probably can't stop Todd Gurley. But I mean you do. The thing is, you don't want this to be, neck and neck. I mean, if you're the Rams, you want to win. You don't want to win close. You want this to be a comfortable win, and I think the Rams can do that against the Chiefs. They just have to annihilate the run. If they stop the run, if they ruin Kareem Hunt's night, then Patrick Mahomes has to carry the team on his back, which, I mean, he's capable of doing, but you just make yourself, it's easier to defend against something it's coming. And if you just basically take away the run game, the Chiefs are going to have to throw all night. And while they can totally do that, and they could beat you that way, they could also lose to you that way. The Rams did not bring in Marcus Peters to just get blown up every game. Marcus Peters is going to step up at some point. He's going to figure it, whatever is going on, out. He's too good a corner to not. And the Rams, they brought in Marcus Peters. They brought in Aqib Talib because they wanted to capitalize. They wanted to create points off turnovers. They wanted to make this a scoring defense. Now, it really hasn't been this year, but it could be. And that's the thing. The Rams still have time to get it together. This defense can get better. They are known to make adjustments in the second half. They're just not really a first half defensive team. And they make you sweat it out at the end. With that being said, I don't think this is the game that they're going to figure it out. But this could be the game where Marcus Peters gets the interception, kind of, lifts up his confidence, and he starts rolling after that. This could be that. This could be a huge game if Aaron Donald isn't able to be blocked, and they actually called if they start calling holding penalties for Donald. This thing could be ugly. So, I'm just saying that right now. The Rams have enough talent on their roster to justify the idea that the Rams might actually win this game comfortably due to their defense. That's the thing. The Rams' defense is better than the Chiefs. It's not an argument. I mean, the Chiefs have talent, but the Chiefs have, Dee Ford, Reggie Ragland, Anthony Hitchens, Justin Houston. That's not bad. Their defensive line, I mean, Chris Jones is incredible. He's a great player. He's one of the best at his position. Doesn't get talked about enough. Derek Nottie, for second-round pick out of Florida State. He's solid. Wouldn't go nuts about him. Alan Bailey, another solid. The Rams and Chiefs, it's like the reverse. The Rams have a great interior presence. The Rams linebackers are kind of their weakness. The Rams have a better secondary than the Chiefs. And that's pretty much where I stand on that. So, I would have to imagine, I mean, the Rams could also, have a hard time, winning this football game too. And the Chiefs could also win comfortably. I just think you're more likely to see a neck-and-neck game than a blowout or a comfortable win. And that's fine. My prediction for this game, 45-35. I think the Rams are going to get this thing done. And I think they'll move to 10-1 and have a nice bye where they can actually enjoy the holiday and move forward. That's how I see it going. I don't think you can discount what this team's done this season. They were 11-5 last year in Sean McVay's first year. This year, they could go to 10-1. They're looking at 15-1 or 14-2 in my eyes. And I have them winning the Super Bowl. And if they do that, man. But I think when you really look at what's going on here, it's the fact that the AFC has 5 teams with 7 wins apiece, and the Chiefs at the top with 9 wins. The Rams and Saints have 9 wins. Right now, the Rams are number 2 since they haven't played their game yet. If they win, they go to 10-1. They pass the Saints. Saints have a chance to tie them at the bye. They have the tiebreaker. All that. But my point is that the AFC seems to be more win-filled than the NFC. And the NFC seems to be more decided as far as at the top. It's Rams, Saints, I would say Bears, and everyone else. The AFC, you have 5 7-win teams. So, that becomes a little crazy. This is also another primetime game for the Rams. And if you didn't know, they actually got scheduled for another primetime game. It was flexed in Chiefs-Rams. And that should be a good one. Well, not Chiefs-Rams. What am I saying? Chiefs are playing the Rams on Monday night. No, Bears-Rams. And that should be a good one. It was a no-brainer. No one wants to see the Raiders and Steelers. No one. Not even Steelers fans. But don't feel bad for Steelers fans because the Steelers are going to play the Chargers on Sunday Night Football as well. So they'll be the week before. Should be good. Definitely should be good. That would be week 14, and the Rams have week 15 against Philly on Sunday Night Football. Now Philly at 4-6. That has a chance to get flexed out. I guess we'll see. If Philly loses another game, they're probably on the cusp of not making the playoffs. I mean, right now, as it stands, they're the 12th seed. So that doesn't really put them in great shape. But, it's certainly possible. But going back to the game, because I'm not done talking about this game. Rams-Chiefs, how I see it going, is the Rams are going to start off strong at the beginning. It's going to be different. They're going to start off strong on defense. They're going to start off strong on offense. They're going to get they're going to force a punt for the Chiefs. They're going to score a touchdown on the first opening drive. And then after that, I think the Chiefs will answer back. There'll be some punches, back and forth. You could be looking at a high-scoring half, and then I think the second half is when we'll start to see it more centralized, more balanced attack, not really airing it out. And I think the Rams will win by 10, 45-35. I think Todd Gurley is going to have himself a good game. I think Gerald Everett, I think Cooks, I think Woods, I think Goff is going to have himself a good game. I think Aaron Donald's going to have himself a good game. Corey Littleton, and Marcus Peters. As far as my player of the game, I'm probably going to have to give it, prediction, obviously. I'm going to have to give it to Todd Gurley because I think this game, Todd Gurley is he's in front of the national audience. He was one of the guys, him and Kareem Hunt both were one of the guys that were first to really come out and say, I'm not going to play if it's in, Mexico. I don't want to play in those conditions. I don't blame him. So I think he's really going to, light a fire for this offense. I mean, he's the best player in the league right now. Offensive player, I would say. And it's funny because, Todd Gurley is on pace. He's on a ridiculous pace right now. And yet he's had a couple huge games with the 3 touchdowns. He didn't have anything like the Titans game with the 250 all-purpose yards or, yards from scrimmage. I think he could get towards that. I mean, really, I think what you're going to see is the Rams are going to play a lot like the Chiefs do, but at the same time they're not because the Chiefs, and here's the issue I've seen all year with the Chiefs and why I think that they are beatable. Chiefs defense isn't that great. That's not anything new. But the Chiefs are a lot like the Rams offense last year. What do I mean by that? They're too explosive for their own good. They score too quickly. They put the defense that's not that great back on the field way too quick. No break whatsoever. A lot of that has to do with Tyreek Hill. 80-yard touchdown, 60-yard touchdown here, 80-yard touchdown there. I get that. But the Rams, they have more a methodical Belichickian Patriot approach. We're going to beat you to a bloody pulp with the short and intermediate passing game. We're going to beat you with the zone runs, inside zone, off-tackle runs. We're going to use jet sweeps, and then we're going to throw over the top of you, and you're not going to beat us. And then our defense is going to play bend, don't break, and then we're going to stop you when it really matters. The Rams' defense has had to stop teams at the end often. It's come down to that. As great as the Rams' offense has been, the Rams' defense has held up in key situations. The Saints game was kind of it was a different look, but to me, while this game is huge, I do think the Rams are going to win 45-35. And I think people will start to slowly make this more about, the Rams. It's weird because the Rams are 9-1, and I just don't feel like they're getting enough credit. Like, they are, but they aren't. And a lot of that has to do with the Saints beating them, and I get that. But I think people are so quick to say Saints are leaps and bounds ahead of them and all that. The Saints lost to Tampa Bay earlier in the year. And the Saints blew a 21-point lead at home against the Rams. And the Saints got very lucky that call, the Johnny Hekker play where he clearly got the first down, would have continued that drive. That call was not changed. Because that was a bad call, and it changed the course of the game. And you can't blame the referees on anything. But that game was awfully officiated. And I'll tell you right now, the Rams didn't do what the Eagles did. They didn't collapse. They fought back. They made it. They tied it up somehow. I mean, even the Gerald Everett 2-point conversion was insane. And they made it a game. And at the end, they just ran out of steam. And when they get Aqib Talib back later on in the year, which will probably be week 13, week 14, they'll be ready. That's called a reinforcement. They got Ogbonnaya Okoronkwo back. He was their 5th-round pick out of Oklahoma. Everyone knows who he is. I mean, he is the most hyped 5th-round pick I've ever seen for the Rams. Well, he was inactive last week. I would imagine after the bye, the Rams are going to use him. They get Dante Fowler. Now you're going to see Josh Reynolds, Gerald Everett more. This team is going to start finding out how good they really can be. It sounds strange. They're 9-1. They're top 5 in like every offensive category, top 3 in every offensive category. And while their defense isn't that great, they're probably the best defense out of the best teams in the league. I mean, the better defenses in this league, the 5-5 Dallas Cowboys, the Atlanta Falcons don't have a bad defense, and they're 4-6. Great defenses. Oh, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, 3-7. The great defenses are kind of gone. It's become more of an offensive-driven league. And so while you need defense, and it's imperative, the best teams in this league, the Rams probably have the best defense out of all of them. I mean, right now, the Vikings probably have a better defense, but they're not, up there. I wouldn't say that. I'd say the Bears probably have the best defense out of the best teams in the league, because I'd say the Bears are a top 5 team right now. I would. So that's what I'm going to say. And overall, win or loss, 9-2, 10-1, going into the bye. That's the thing. Now, it doesn't work in this game, because the Chiefs also have not had their bye yet, but the Rams have done all this without the bye. The Chiefs have done all this without the bye. We have to give them some credit. I mean, the Rams got a mini bye when they played on Thursday night, but give me a break. That's not a bye. So, I will be very impressed with whatever the Rams do this Monday night. I'll be impressed with whatever, because I'm going to look at the season as a whole so far, and I'm going to realize this Rams team is they have put themselves in position to get a first-round bye, and that's really all that they need. They don't need to be the number 1 seed. They'd like to, but if they finish 15-1 and somehow the Saints finish 15-1 as well, and the Saints get the number 1 seed, well, that sucks that you finished 15-1 and got the 2 seed. Seems like the Rams were just great in a bad year, because now the Saints just look just as good, but that's what it has to be. That's what it has to be. You have to go back to the Dome, and you have to prove yourself and beat them this time. That's what you're going to have to do. So, again, I mean, you have a lot of pressure hanging over your head if you're Sean McVay. Of last year, you lost when you were the higher-seeded team in the playoffs, hosting your playoff game. You lost to the Falcons. You can't let that happen. That was a first-round exit. 11-5 team, first round, gone. So, I think the Rams are going to turn around. I really do. And I think this team learned their lesson against the Saints. I don't think they got too high on themselves, but I think they learned that they are beatable. And in order to stay unbeatable, they have to continue to do their thing. And I think they'll be able to do that this Monday night. It's going to be a fun one, regardless of what happens. Both these teams deserve a lot of credit, a lot of recognition, and the season's not anywhere near close to over. It's going to be a fun season, end to the season anyway. I'm just going to, once over the standings real quick, because I think it's really interesting. You have the Saints right now 9-1, Rams 9-1. The Bears are 6-3, but they're leading on Sunday Night Football, so they'll probably go to 7-3. Redskins 6-4. They just lost Alex Smith for the year with a broken leg, and they're going to start Colt McCoy. So I mean, we'll see there. McCoy didn't look half bad, but he will have to go up against legit starting quarterbacks. The 5th seed are the Vikings, 5-3-1, but they are losing right now to Chicago. And they'll probably go to 5-4-1, which would put them in the 6th position, because the Panthers are 6-4 right now. And the thing is, when you tie, it's a tiebreaker over a loss. So the Bears are not the Bears. The Vikings are 5-3-1, so they would have the edge over a 6-4 team, because the 6-4 team has 4 losses as opposed to 3 with the Vikings. With that being said, if the Vikings lose tonight, like it looks like they might, 14-0, they're down, they would probably fall the 6th seed, and they become beatable. And then now you're looking at the Seahawks 5-5, Cowboys 5-5, Packers 4-5-1, Falcons 4-6, Lions 4-6, Eagles 4-6, and then you get in the 7-loss teams with the Giants and the Bucks. and then the 8 lost teams, the Cardinals and 49ers, that I don't really believe have a shot, but they're not officially mathematically eliminated. It's going to be a dogfight. And it's a good year for the Rams to be good because, man, if you're, on the fence of being a good football team, it's going to be brutal to watch those games. I mean, it's going to be fun, but the Seahawks and the Seahawks and Cowboys, I think those two teams are really starting to find their stride. Seahawks played a good football game against the Rams, and they beat the Packers. I don't know if people are giving them enough credit. And the Rams could very well end up playing them again in the playoffs. So that's something to keep an eye on. The Cowboys have one of the more fun defenses in the league to watch. It's just a matter of their offense kind of spinning around in circles. Falcons, who beat the Rams last year in the playoffs, are 4-6. And they just dropped a game today against the Cowboys, lost a game-winning field goal. And then you look at the Packers 4-5-1. Regardless of what happens, the Rams beat them. So the Rams would have tiebreakers over. So far, the Vikings, they would have tiebreakers over the Seahawks, Packers, and then really they have to play the Cardinals and 49ers. But then they would have to play the Eagles still, who are 4-6, and probably one more loss, and they'd be in deep trouble. The Rams still have to play the Lions. They still have to play the Bears. So it's going to get really crazy down to the wire. The Rams still have, the remaining games after the Chiefs game. They still have the Cardinals and 49ers to go one more time. So those will be either easy wins or the Rams will bench their starters and, they'll sit their starters and they'll take a loss or they'll have to eke one out. But that's how the NFC looks. The AFC, Chiefs are 9-1, Steelers 7-2-1, Patriots 7-3, Texans 7-3, Chargers 7-3. Ravens get in 6th seed right now at the season ended today. The Ravens have the common, it's like the common conference win percentage. They're 5-5. They would have the tiebreaker over the Bengals due to head-to-head. And then the Dolphins and Colts due to their conference win percentage. So it would be the Ravens 5-5, Bengals 5-5, Dolphins 5-5, the Colts 5-5, and the Titans 5-5. So crazy enough, the NFC only has 2 5-5 teams. The AFC has 5 5-5 teams. That division is insane, or conference is insane. And then the Broncos stole one today against the Chargers. They're 4-6. Browns 3-6-1. They had their bye this week, so we'll see what they do. Again, a tie is better than a loss, which puts them ahead of the 3-7 Jaguars, the 3-7 Bills, the 3-7 Jets, and the 2-8 Raiders, who just won their second game today and acted like they won the Super Bowl. So that's how the playoff seedings shake up, the standings, who's in the hunt, who's not. AFC is going to be a dogfight, but it looks like, unfortunately, with all those 5-5 teams, you got 7 win teams. You have 5 of them in your conference. That's brutal. So that's how that goes. I'm going to revisit my Super Bowl prediction real quick. Excuse me. Going to revisit my Super Bowl prediction. I had the Rams and Steelers, and I'll tell you right now, if the Rams and Steelers play, I think the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl. I think the Rams can beat anyone in the AFC, but if the Rams beat the Chiefs, I would kind of worry a little bit about a rematch in the Super Bowl. The thing is, with the Steelers, with the Patriots, with the Texans, with the Chargers, I think this year an NFC team is definitely going to win the Super Bowl. It's either going to be the Rams or the Saints, or the Chiefs, if the AFC wins. What I saw today from the Steelers, what I saw last week from the Steelers, I saw a team that could beat anybody and lose to anybody at the same time. Now, they eked out a win by the skin of their teeth against the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road, albeit. But, man, that was not a good look. Big Ben threw 3 interceptions There were so many drops in that game. They just did not look prepared. However, the game before they scored 50. They got up to 50 points against a good Panthers team. I just think with that, I haven't seen that with the Rams. I haven't seen that with the Chiefs. I haven't seen that with the Saints. The Chiefs lost. They lost by 3 to the Patriots in Foxborough. I'm pretty sure it was 43-40. It was a huge game. The same thing with the Patriots, though. I just don't really see it. They just got blown out by the Titans last week. The Titans just got blown out by the Colts this week. The Patriots are good. They're good because of their coaching. They have Tom Brady. They have weapons. They're not a bad football team by any means. They're probably one of the top 10. But Patriots are sitting at the 3 seed. And I don't see this Patriots team winning the Super Bowl. I look at this team and I'm thinking they're nowhere near the same class as the Rams or the Saints. They don't have that offense. They couldn't keep up with them. I don't really even think their defense is that great. So there's that. And then the Texans, who got lucky again, eking out another win. They've won 6 straight. And honestly, I'm not impressed. Texans really haven't played anybody. And that's why I think, Texans barely held off the Colt McCoy Washington Redskins. I just think, while they are 7-3, you have to give them that. I think the Colts are the best in that division. They're playing some great football right now. Do you, right now, you the listener listening to this, you read off these names: Chiefs, Steelers, Patriots, Texans, Chargers, Ravens. That would be your playoffs in the AFC right now if the season ended today. How many of those do you think absolutely grandest stage of them all, Super Bowl time, Rams get there, they could beat the Rams? Last year, all of them. Because the Rams were good last year, but they were beatable. They were really beatable. They lost games that they should have won. They were outplayed, outclassed, and outcoached by the Vikings. The Eagles, they lost to Nick Foles. They blew that. At home, might I add. But this year, things are different. This year, they had a neck-and-neck game at the Coliseum, primetime, against the Vikings. They win. This year, neck-and-neck game against the Packers. They hold on to win against Aaron Rodgers. I just feel as though this team's just different. It's not last year. It's a refined version of last year. And Wade Phillips is in year 2. So eventually, when this team has an idea of what they want on their defense, they finalize. When they finalize what they want for their personnel, they're going to be really good. It's just they're going to have an issue figuring what they want out. So, keep Talib 33 and all. They need to figure out what they're going to do. Are they going to bring back Marcus Peters? Who are they going to sign? Nickell Coleman is the only guy signed. So they're going to have to figure that out. But that's a different conversation. My point is, this year they're a different football team. They lose to the Saints, and everyone starts saying how they have all these weaknesses. And to me, they don't. They have one weakness. One. It's their defense. That's it. It's their defense. But guess what? The Saints don't have a great defense. They gave up plenty of points to the Rams. The Patriots don't have a great defense. Let's see here. The Redskins, they have a solid defense, not great. Vikings defense was better last year. The Panthers have a good defense, but they gave up 50 to the Steelers. Let's see here. The Steelers defense, the Rams would throw all over them. Rams would run all over them. The Texans, they have some talent, but nothing that you're not the Texans are not, a shut-down defense. The best defenses that would match up best against the Rams. The Bears, which is why that game is crucial. It's going to be hectic. When they play this regular season, could be a preview of the NFC title game. We don't know. Because the Bears could beat the Saints and the Rams. They could. They don't have as good of an offense, but their offense is being underrated. And their defense is way better than both of those teams. The Cowboys also have a great matchup against the Rams, their defense. And I would say Seattle's defense isn't half bad either. Those teams. But if you look, if the season ended today, Bears are the only team that I mentioned for defenses that would make the playoffs. So, you have to look at all of it. Obviously, season's not even close to over. The Rams have a long way to go, but so a lot of these other teams, I just think we're so quick to say how this team doesn't have a defense, but neither do many of these contenders. And that's just the way the game has kind of evolved, I guess. But like I said, all those teams, if the Rams get to the Super Bowl, the teams I mentioned, Chiefs, Steelers, Patriots, Texans, Chargers, Ravens. I mean, the Chiefs, I don't see anyone else beating the Rams. I don't. Maybe the Patriots off of Belichick's coaching ability and experience. Tom Brady's experience. Maybe. But Deshaun Watson and Bill O'Brien are not going to the Super Bowl. Well, they're not. I don't believe they are. But they're not going to the Super Bowl and beating Jared Goff and Sean McVay. It's not happening. Phillip Rivers and Anthony Lynn are not beating Jared Goff and Sean McVay. An all-LA Super Bowl would just explain to you exactly why there's one team that's considered LA's team, and then there's the other LA team. It would be like the Lakers when they had Shaq, they had Kobe going up against the Clippers right now. Chargers are good for what they are. They're a team that wins games that they should win, and they lose games that they should lose. But they're also a team that's beaten the Raiders twice. They've beaten the Cardinals, the 49ers, the Cleveland Browns, the Bills. I mean, their resume isn't great. So I'll say that, and I'm sorry with the Ravens. If the Ravens, if they go to the Super Bowl, Flacco and Harbaugh, or Lamar Jackson, as much as I love my guy Lamar Jackson and Harbaugh are not beating Jared Goff and Sean McVay. So what does that leave? It leaves the Chiefs, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and their awful defense and their great offense. It leaves the Patriots based on just pure experience, and talent, as coaching, quarterback-wise, consistency. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. And then, Tomlin and Ben Roethlisberger. But again, the Rams wouldn't give up 50 to the Steelers. The Steelers wouldn't shut down the Rams' offense. It's really going to come up. I only see it as the Chiefs. So that's why I say this year, the NFC is bound to be victorious in winning the Super Bowl. Because I'll tell you, I'll take the Rams over every team in that AFC playoff picture. The Chiefs, they'd probably make it a tough one. I still think the Rams are a better team, but the Chiefs are really good. And then if you put the Saints against all of them, I'm picking the Saints. And then the Bears, I'm probably picking the Bears over most of them. I'm picking the Bears over the Steelers because I think their defense would just absolutely, they would disturb Ben Roethlisberger to the core. That would be like the Jaguars game. And I think the Bears would blow out Houston. And I think the Bears would blow out the Chargers. And I think the Bears would blow out Baltimore. The Patriots, they might beat the Bears, but I would probably still pick the Bears. So that's why earlier when I said there are the Saints, the Rams, and the Bears, and everyone else in the NFC, and that's why I said it. Because that's what I see. I see there are 5 teams. I mean, today, the Steelers are the biggest boomer bust, but I just still, at their best, I don't think they can beat the Rams. I don't think they can beat the Saints. They might be able to beat the Bears, but I don't know if they can beat the Bears. At the Rams' best, they're beating everybody. At the Saints' best, they would have a hard... I mean, that would just be a neck-and-neck game against the Rams. I don't know if they would win, but they'd be right up there. The Chiefs' best, they could beat almost anybody. The Bears' best, they could beat almost anybody. Steelers' best, they could beat everybody in the AFC, and they would probably... It wouldn't be guaranteed against the Steelers. For the Chiefs' best, but they could beat everyone in the AFC likely. And then the NFC, I think that they could probably go neck and neck with the Rams, and Saints, they probably beat the Bears. So if you're ranking this, it's Rams, Saints, 1 or 2, whatever you prefer. I don't really care. I think they're probably neck and neck right now. They're in the same situations. Their defenses are, not very good. But they have killer offenses. And I guess really, the Bears, I'd probably put at 4 behind the Chiefs. I'd put the Chiefs 3. So you have 9-1, 9-1, 9-1. Bears 7-3 if they win this game, still on. They're up 14-0. And then it's a dogfight for the 5th spot, because right now it'd be the Steelers. But after today, I'm not willing to say the Steelers belong there. I'm willing to take that, because when their highs are their highs, I mean, they look amazing. When they're low, they're very low. They're turnover prone. I mean, it gets bad. And they're a team that they sulk. While they won today, they didn't even look like they were in the game. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger did a nice job of coming back and everything, but this team what I saw today, they didn't look inspired at all. And they almost let a 3-6 Jacksonville Jaguars team beat them. Now 3-7. That would have been a meaningless loss and would have been a meaningless win for Jacksonville, who's basically out of the playoffs. But anyway, my point is, there isn't a 5th team right now. It's a toss-up. Is it the Steelers? Is it the Patriots? Is it the Texans? Is it the Chargers? Is it the Panthers? It's not the Redskins. I'm not going to completely write off the Redskins as far as making the playoffs, because I do like Colt McCoy. But I don't know. I can't say that they're right up there. And that's why in the NFC, it's 3 teams and everyone else. AFC, I look at it's really just the Chiefs. There's a lot of teams with 7 wins, but can you tell me right now that you would take any of them over the Chiefs? Because I wouldn't. So this game, I'm really looking forward to this game. I've been talking about this a lot. It's a fun time of year. I think, there's obviously a lot at stake. I just think it's going to be a lot of fun. But I think that, make no mistake, as long as the right teams, the best teams, win in the playoffs, it's going to be the Chiefs versus whoever comes out of the NFC, whether it's the Rams, whether it's the Saints, whether it's the Bears. And I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't want to be on the other end after beating a team earlier in the season, having to play them in the playoffs. Rams lost to the Titans the year they won the Super Bowl against the Titans. The Rams beat the Patriots in Foxborough the year they lost Super Bowl to the Patriots. I would never want to play a team that I beat in the regular season when it matters the most. I would never want to do that. I would rather play the team I lost against when it matters the most. I think you have a better chance. I think things it's just going to go more your way. And that's why if I'm the Rams, if I beat the Bears, I don't want to see the Bears in the playoffs. I want to see the Saints in the playoffs. I want to play against the Saints. Whether it's in the Dome or not, the Rams, it's not about revenge. It's simply, I think you're more prone to winning a game that you previously lost. You already got to see the team. So, you were close. You'll have to lead back. I think that's probably what I would do. As of right now, my prediction, it was Steelers-Titans in the AFC. Can I just say the Chiefs are way better than I ever imagined, so hats off to them. The NFC, I had the Saints as the 3rd seed, but I had the Rams and Packers playing the AFC title game, or NFC title game, sorry. And I don't really see that at this point. The Packers lost a game that they absolutely couldn't afford to lose against the Seahawks. I mean, that's just brutal. That was a brutal loss, and if the Vikings win today, I mean, tonight, it's not going to be good. I don't think they will, but Packers are sitting at 9th, and the Cowboys are starting to turn it on. I don't think they look half bad. Even their offense, I mean, it's not great, but Ezekiel Elliott's moving, and that defense is really fun to watch. Seahawks 5-5 had the tiebreaker over them. So, I mean, they're really in a hole. So, there's that. But anyway, I think that's going to wrap up the show. Shout out to Lamar Jackson today getting his first W. My QB1, I really was irritated. Marty Morningwig, the offensive coordinator, was very conservative in his usage. Jackson did throw a really bad interception, but he had over 200 yards of total offense, and I say that because he had over 100 yards of rushing, and I was impressed in a way, but I was more disappointed in the fact that the coaching staff didn't trust Lamar Jackson as their starting QB to throw the ball across the first down marker. All right, no, that's just me. Number 2 thing on my mind today, how about the Colts? I've been saying it for 2 weeks now. I think the Colts are going to win this division. Now, I also had the Texans penciled in to lose this game against the Redskins, but I still think they can. I think Andrew Luck is a top 4 quarterback in the NFL. I think he's back. I think they have a nice bunch of running backs, I mentioned earlier. They have receivers, they have tight ends. The offensive line's great. Now their defense is starting to play well, because they got Tyquan Lewis back. I believe their 2nd-round pick out of Ohio State. And they have Kamoko Torre, friend of the podcast, who's starting to turn it on. So, I really like what they're doing, and they're now 5-5. Guess what? They have a better record than the 4-6 Eagles. Why do I bring that up? Because the Colts hired Frank Reich, the former offensive coordinator for the Eagles. So, makes you wonder, are the Eagles missing their key component to success? Maybe it's a little unfair. I don't know. You tell me. And then my 3rd and final takeaway of this week, because I just would like to throw these out here. I was extremely disappointed, but not shocked, because I do think Sean Payton is classless. I was extremely disappointed in the fact that on 4th and 6, up 38-7 against the Eagles, he throws a bomb in the end zone to Alvin Kamara. He has Drew Brees throw a bomb. Drew Brees is a total class act, so I'm not blaming him for this. He's also not going to check out of a play or, have, the punt team come on after Sean Payton already called the play. It's not his fault. But Sean Payton, shame on you. Because to me, running up the score, I don't really think that, people say that you shouldn't ever pass, when you're up by a lot. I disagree with that. You can work on some things. You can put in your backup, all that. But going for it on 4th and 6, up 38-7, and trying to go for a touchdown, I think it would have been a jerk move to go for it on 4th and 6 and, throw a short slant to get the first down. But I mean, they literally threw a bomb into the end zone of Kamara. To me, that rubbed me the wrong way. I get it, you're trying to, I guess anybody can come back in this day and age, but man, 38-7 in the fourth quarter, and you're going for a fourth down and long. I mean, you have another thing coming. Like, I wouldn't be surprised next time if the Eagles did something. And this is, Marcus Peters came out and said, Sean Payton was talking some stuff on the sidelines, and that's how he is. But it's easy to talk when you're on top, but it's also you're putting a red X on your back, and that's the thing. I think Saints really need to watch what they're doing. They're getting really cocky, and we'll see. They do play the Steelers, who have the ability. If they play their best game, they could beat them. So we'll see about that. But, those are my 3 things that I took away. Really looking forward to this game. Hope you guys enjoy. And I'll be back after with Joe Curley, and we'll discuss, the ending of this game. We'll discuss the post-game, and all that. So looking forward to it. Monday is going to be brutal as far as, just the wait. I know a lot of people are already, messaging me like, I don't know how I'm going to get through my day at work. Well, for those of you that can listen to podcasts while you work, like I used to be able to, well, here's the podcast for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, I'll have Joe Curley on, and we'll discuss the ending of that game, and we'll have a quick podcast later on the week. We don't want to take up too much of your holiday because Thanksgiving's pretty awesome, and it seems like all the retail stores want to just end Thanksgiving with all these Black Friday deals. But I will have a short podcast kind of recapping the year. Might have a guest on. I do have some guests lined up later on in the year, closer to postseason, so that'll be cool. And I appreciate you guys. Every week, it's been a rough week. I haven't been able to get the podcast out like I wanted to on a certain date. You guys have been understanding, but you guys have also been like, why? And that's really cool for me because, that means that you're really interested in what I have to say. And that means a lot. So I thank you guys from the bottom of my heart, and I love you guys. So again, this is the Downtown Rams podcast. It is episode 136, and I'll be back soon. Later.